Hey everybody, it's Christina Holloway here, and today we're going to talk about procrastination. Now, there are a number of reasons why a person could potentially procrastinate any time throughout the day. However, we are going to talk about reasons why you might procrastinate at work and how you might want to find a way forward if you can get through to a workable solution. So, there are three questions and areas for consideration when we look at what we're doing and why we're doing it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. All right, so let's get started. Number one, what is your mindset? When I work with clients and they tell me that they're struggling with their workload, they're struggling with procrastinating on simple tasks, and they have questions as to why they can't just get some of the stuff off their plate, the first thing I do is ask them what's really going on in your work environment. So, three words that come up very often are overwhelm, anxiety, and exhaustion. We tend to procrastinate when we find that there are certain deliverables or responsibilities that are starting to become unsatisfying. And once they reach a point where they no longer have meaning, or we can't figure out what you're doing and why you're doing it and where it's going to take you to the next level, or how it contributes to your growth and your evolution at work, or how it's supposed to contribute to your promotion or your ability to get to the next level, then those tasks are going to start falling off to the bottom of the pile. And once they become urgent, they start to create a sense of overwhelm and especially anxiety of, I can't believe I still have to do these things. Then they start to infect your mind. Why is this something that's so important? Why do I always have to do this? This is going to be a painful space for me. My favorite ones when I talk to people are performance reviews. I don't want to do them. I don't feel like doing them. I have 30 of them to do. I now only have 2 weeks left because I waited until the last minute. And now here I am spending every day, all day, working on performance reviews that I absolutely don't want to do. I don't want to talk to the people. I don't want to fill out the forms. I don't want to submit them back to HR. And I don't want to align them back to raises, promotions, bonuses. I don't want to have any of those conversations. Why? For the most part, they're unpleasant. So if the task starts to become unpleasant, you might find that you're leaning toward anxiety, overwhelm, and exhaustion. Once you figure out where the pain point is and why your mindset has suddenly turned a regular task that you used to do fine enough, even if it was performance reviews, when you first got into that job, you were doing them. And then after years and years of doing it, and getting more and more people, you're now finding you don't like this responsibility. And also, it can cause conflict. It can cause hurt feelings. It can cause people to say, I don't feel like I'm being respected or acknowledged. I'm going to quit. And those are all conversations we don't want to have. So I'm going to use this as an example of what procrastination can look like. You can have any number of responsibilities, and you might find that they're similar. You have the similar response. So regardless of whether you have to give performance reviews to people, what's important is you're having the similar kind of response. I don't want to do them. They're unpleasant. They're uncomfortable. And I don't see why or how these are going to help me move forward in my career. So that's number one, understanding the mindset and where it's causing pain for you. Number two, understanding the objective. Again, performance reviews are a necessary evil, so we do need to understand why were they given to you. Now, there could be a disconnect here between if you have a job where you're supposed to give performance reviews or you're filling in for someone who's not there and you're being asked to give performance reviews and you've just been stuck with this responsibility. In addition, I remember being very young and given a responsibility that was very monotonous and I couldn't stand it. I just couldn't stand it. I am a person who does not like to do repeated tasks. And I like variety. And if things become too routine, it starts to make me very uncomfortable, and I'll start to do things to make it more exciting, or I'll ignore it until it becomes urgent, and then I'll deal with it begrudgingly. We all have our inability to deal with reality, and that's mine. And then I have to ask myself, Well, are those responsibilities really going to help me grow and evolve in my career? Maybe if you're doing performance reviews and you are in a manager space and you need to continue in a management space, you absolutely do need to learn how to give performance reviews and not absorb so much of the energy that comes out of them, especially if you're delivering less than stellar information to somebody who had high expectations. These are difficult conversations. However, the other half of it is if you start procrastinating and acting out, like I did, there was acting out, I had to take a step back and ask myself, if you're that resentful about doing simple procedures that everyone else also is responsible for, then what else is bothering you? And for me, it turned out I wasn't going to get promoted. I wasn't going to get moved through the organization. I was as far as I possibly could get where I was at that company a very long time ago. And I had to understand that if I wanted growth and engagement and better job responsibilities, I needed to leave. So I have to ask myself in the second question, what is the objective of the task? And a further conversation helped me realize this wasn't the place for me. I wasn't going to be able to stay here. And once I realized that, I was able to do my responsibilities until I left, because then I had a goal that I was looking forward to, which was change was coming and I was leaving. So when you start to understand why you're doing this responsibility, if you've been given performance reviews and they're unpleasant, then you have to ask yourself, what am I being challenged for here in any task? How am I being challenged? And if the responsibility is supposed to take you to the next level, like say for management, and you're going to go to a senior manager, in which case you're going to be doing a lot more performance reviews, you can't just keep putting them off, then you want to ask yourself, how am I going to do this so that it isn't always so unpleasant? And that's going to require you to develop a bigger communication plan for yourself where you get in front of some of this bad feedback or negative feedback or difficult conversations earlier than the performance review. The performance review is just a symptom of the unpleasant feeling you have because something else hasn't been handled before the review came. So the more you understand exactly what the outcome is supposed to be and what the objective is for the task at hand, the more likely you'll be to resolve the problem sooner and in that other area. Procrastination is a symptom. It's symptomatic of bigger things. So getting to the bottom of what's really bothering you and how you can backtrack further before you even got to this point where you started procrastinating is going to help you quite a bit understand why you put it off until you got to this point and it can no longer be ignored. Once it can no longer be ignored, you're then becoming reactive and saying, I don't like that task. In reality, you've avoided a number of other steps before you even got to this particular task. And now you've directed your energy into not liking the end result. In reality, you do want to take a few steps back and ask yourself, where could I have been more engaged or active earlier so that this task was not going to be so problematic for me now? In my case, I really didn't speak up. I had to do these tasks just like everybody else, but I resented it. So instead of speaking up and saying, is there anybody else who could take this responsibility, or can we centralize this type of task so that one specific group is dealing with it who's well situated for it because I'm not well suited to this task? I might have been able to solve my own problem instead of holding on to a bunch of resentment toward why do I have to do it just like the rest of them, right? And this takes us to number 3, what's really going on? You may also find out that you're starting to be avoidant, or you're realizing, like in my example, that you're a bad fit for this position or these tasks, in which case you now need to take a step back and ask yourself, where can we find a solution? If this problem has surfaced that there's a bigger break in expectations or in process or in line of succession, any kind of responsibilities, then you do want to go back and ask, especially your supervisor, where can I get support so this doesn't become problematic going forward? If you find that you don't have support that would help you find a solution, you may be realizing that the beginning of having procrastination for your job is a bigger symptom of you realizing you've, 1, outgrown the position, 2, are looking for bigger and better responsibilities, or 3, have to come to terms with the fact that maybe this wasn't the best job for you. And simple tasks or even big tasks, once they become so horrible that you dread Monday morning, then you need to look back and ask yourself, how did it get this far? And where is this going to take me? Having feelings of dread, anxiety, exhaustion, or overwhelm are really huge signs that you're not just procrastinating, that there's something bigger under the surface that you need to address. So this video wasn't really intended to say, well, if you're procrastinating, you need to have a calendar and you need to have a timeline and you need to start breaking down your tasks into smaller tasks. All of those things are fine, especially if you procrastinate very small or you have a new job and you're just learning how to manage your time. But if we have persistent procrastination for major responsibilities that need to get done and we're just not doing them, then we have to go back to what's really happening under the surface. What's really happening in my mind? How am I struggling with accepting these job responsibilities? And then what's really happening in my career development? Am I really in a wrong space? Am I just feeling like I'm plateauing and not really making progress like I thought I would? Have I lost my connection with my supervisor where we can find solutions going forward so this no longer dogs me as I continue with my day? There are ways, especially if you've been in this job for a few years, to start asking yourself, where can I get to delegate some of this space? Even in performance reviews, I remember doing performance reviews and my supervisor would come back to me and say, well, you're at a certain level now, fill out the form. We're going to have an open, honest conversation, and I want to see your version of how you grew and developed. And then we're going to reconcile those two versions. So I was part of the development process when it came to my performance review. And for some people, they take on all of that responsibility feeling like they have no choice or solutions in front of them, and they become overwhelmed and they become resentful. So the sooner we can find solutions to figure out how to diffuse some of that anxiety, the more likely we'll be to look at the project, the task, the uncomfortable space in a new light. And once we see it from a different perspective, we can handle it as solving a problem versus having it weigh on you and hold you back. So I hope that helps. All right, so that's it for this video on the real reason why you're procrastinating and how to move yourself out of a bad mindset. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.